All right, boys, welcome to BUBL Week 2, this time against Nexus, who you can check out in the top right-hand corner. And if you missed our Week 1 battle, be sure to check that one out as well, where we played Dietite, also known as Jason, one of my best friends, and we unfortunately ended up losing to him. Which, looking back, it was a close game. I'm not too mad. I do definitely think, I know there are definitely plays looking back that if I played now, I would have done differently. But it was my first game in 6 months. I'm not going to be too hard on myself. And you guys definitely weren't too hard on me. You guys were actually insanely supportive with 1,000 views on the draft analysis, 600 on the team builder, and 1,800 on the match, which is far beyond my expectations for coming back after 6 months. So I really do appreciate you guys for showing this crazy amount of support. That gives me a huge FOMO for ever leaving Draft League again, man, to be honest. So thank you guys for your support, and we're going to try to win out the rest of this season, starting with Week 2 against Nexus, whose team is going to be Tara, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Cinderace, Jirachi, Donphan, Okidogi, Mandibuzz, Kyurem, Comfey, Raichu, and Sableye. Wait, Tara, Raichu. First of all, a huge shout out to Wagon and Obo, as per usual, for helping me build and mock, and also a big shout out to Noah for throwing together a mock as well. And I think last week Chef and Smaster helped, and I didn't shout them out, so shout out to them. And also massive shout out to Sunny for editing these videos. You guys can tell the quality is getting better every time he does a video, so huge shout out to Sunny for editing these team builder videos. And I also want to talk about Wagon for a second. So I think he's doing a little team builder series where he shows his thought process through him helping me build these teams. I don't know if it's like a permanent thing for the entire season or if it was just a Week 2 thing. I think it's a permanent thing for the entire season, but if there's a video on it up, I will go ahead and link that. I don't know if it'll be up by the time this video is up though. Regardless, you guys should go check him out, Doki the Dingus, on YouTube. He's going to start documenting all this stuff, and this week especially is probably going to be a pretty interesting watch. Because while you're going to see this side and you're going to see me talk about what we're bringing and why we're bringing it, the process itself was really difficult this week. To keep a long story short, I tried to throw a team together and some stuff stuck, some stuff didn't. We ran some more mocks. Me and Wagon like collaborated. We built this pace that we thought in theory was good, and it just kept getting destroyed in mocks, and I was pretty frustrated. I didn't see a way to really overcome the things that were beating us in mocks without completely scrapping the team. But my time has been limited this week, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time to actually be able to do that. So Wagon, thankfully, being the great friend he is, actually scrapped most of the team and built a new team himself, tested it and gave it to me, and I was able to run a mock with it, and it felt fantastic. So huge shout out to Wagon for putting together, I think 4 Pokemon on this team were completely him, or 3 Pokemon were completely him. One was a modified set of mine, and then 2 were my sets. So regardless, big shout out to Wagon for building this team, man. I really do appreciate that. And I think we have a much better chance of winning this game than the initial team that we brought. It was not a bad team, but we kept losing like 2-0 or 1-0 every single time. It just didn't feel cohesive, but this team does. All right, so now we're going to talk about what Nexus has and what does well. So this is the note from Wagon. Wagon said there are 4 Pokemon that he thinks should always come to this game. 1, Kyurem. Kyurem does pretty good in this game. He thinks it should be Scarf in this matchup to be able to force progress against things like a Boots and Namorous, and make it to where a Boots and Namorous cannot actually get out of hand, because there are certain sets, like a Boots superpower set is what I initially had, that do really well without the Scarf Kyurem in the back. Number 2, Comfey. Comfey actually does this really dirty. Our Fairy Resist is obviously Muck, and that's not great. Somebody said I hated Muck in one of the comments, by the way. I like Muck. He's cool. He's just not very consistent. But Comfey does at +1 like 50% to Arcaludon if we're not Assault Vest with a Draining Kiss. So Comfey does very good, and was honestly in most mocks the in-game that was able to be found. Number 3, some variant of Jirachi with Stealth Rock. I saw a couple different variants. There was like Rocks, Wish, Protect, U-Turn. There was Rocks, Thunder Wave, Iron Head, U-Turn. Usually they were more defensive. He thinks that Stealth Rock Jirachi should come in some capacity. It's very difficult for my team to deal with and break through. I can switch it on things like the Arcaludon, pressure me out. I can run things like Aura Sphere. And then lastly, number 4, Sableye. Sableye should come in some capacity here, which is weird to say, but my only removal is Cyclizar, and he wants those hazards up, whether it be the rocks or whether it be the spikes that we'll talk about in just a second. But those are the 4, from Wagon's point of view, those were the 4 Pokemon that should come. I'm going to go through and talk about each individual Pokemon and what kind of merit it gives to the matchup now that you know that those 4 Pokemon probably should come. The first Pokemon that I'm going to talk about is going to be Ogerpon, which can get kind of overwhelming if we let Arcaludon. I've tried to say this 4 times. Arcaludon. Ogerpon can get pretty overwhelming if our Caladon gets chipped, or as Wagon says, Archiludun, whatever, man. Ogerpon, our own Ogerpon can also mitigate that a little bit. Obviously, it does do pretty big damage. Something like a Swords Dance set is possible, but not the best in this matchup. Swords Dance, Trailblaze, Cudgel, and Superpower does okay, but I think the better set here is going to be Spike's U-Turn Dual Stab, as far as like Cudgel Trailblaze or a Superpower instead of the Trailblaze slot. This is going to be important later. Realistically, there's not a reason he should need Horn Leech or Power Whip in this matchup. Keep that in mind. I said that. I'm wishing it upon us that we do not have to deal with that. Overall, it does make sense if he does not want to bring the Ogerpon. It does have a potential in-game that he can find if he wants to bring the offensive variant, or Spikes in general do really well, but there's a lot of roles that he wants if he goes with the build that we're thinking that he might bring, which we talked about earlier with those 4 Pokemon that we think he's going to bring. Ogerpon doesn't always fit on that build, so there's a universe where Ogerpon does not come. Cinderace, the same thing. There's worlds where it doesn't come. It's probably either going to be it or Donphan to keep control of the hazards. It depends on how he wants to go about it, if he wants to stack, if he wants to ensure that hazards are not on his side of the field guaranteed with the Donphan Rapid Spin versus the Court Change. Cinderace does do very well into me offensively though. Our only real switch in is Swampert, who gets really whittled down in this matchup in a lot of different ways, and he's very, very pressured. So Cinderace, he could bring, it could just be like a Court Change, U-Turn, Pyro Ball, and High Jump Kick set. That could be really annoying and really difficult for us to deal with. He could also be something like a Banded set. Even a Banded set is a little bit difficult for us to deal with. But again, Cinderace is not a guarantee to come by any means. And then the Jirachi, we already talked about the Jirachi that we think is going to come. Another option is going to be a Cosmic Power Stored Power Jirachi. I don't have a Dark type, and that is definitely a little bit difficult to deal with, and we have to play very offensively to be able to push past that, which I do think we're able to do with my team, but it does get a little bit uncomfortable. Donphan next. Again, the way we were thinking, it's probably one of Donphan or Cinderace. Donphan, it does go actually offensively. We don't have very many ground resist. It's just Ogerpon, and Ogerpon can get a little bit overwhelmed between his own Ogerpon as well as Donphan. However, we do have access to Synthesis, things like that, so the Ogerpon can have reliable recovery. So a lot of times I don't expect the Donphan necessarily to come. If it does, it might be like Assault Vest, or it might be like an offensive variant with Ice Spin or Earthquake, Ice Shard, Knockoff, something like that. Rapid Spin on there, obviously. Okidogi's next. I don't really see Okidogi coming. It gets stuffed by quite a few things on our team, but he could bring in some sort of a breaker. I didn't really mock super heavily against mini Okidogi, and if I did, we were able to handle it pretty easily. So honestly, I'm a little bit underprepared for the Okidogi, but I don't really think it has a great matchup here. The same thing with Mandibuzz, man. It doesn't really check Deoxys. We can nasty plot past it, and it doesn't OHKO us with any one dark move, which is fairly weak, so it's pressured pretty easily. He could bring it for some sort of a defog sponge, but between Enamorus and we have Iron Hands and we have our Caladon, Mandibuzz doesn't make a lot of sense in my opinion. I'm talking a little bit fast. I apologize. I'm getting back into the swing of things with these videos. Next up, Kyurem. We already talked about it. It probably is going to be Scarf. It probably is going to be Monus. And it's probably going to be pretty damn hard to switch into. That Mon with Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Earth Power, and Draco is going to come in some capacity. Could he be Specs? Absolutely. Could he be Scarf? Absolutely. I do expect one of those two variants. He could be DD, I suppose. I don't really see DD coming with Earth Power. DD, Icicle Spear, Earth Power last, maybe. But I feel like Scarf or Specs is more likely, and more likely Scarf. Comfey, if it comes, should be Calm Mind. There's a lot of different ways that he can find an in-game with that Comfey, and it's very hard for us to deal with. I don't really see any other variants of Comfey. I do think he is going to bring it. Terra Raichu, we didn't really talk about a whole lot. Wagon was like, hey man, if he doesn't bring Sableye, he could bring Terra Ghost Raichu, so watch out for that. Because it does block the Rapid Spin from Cyclizar, and it has Lightning Rod for Uncle Mike, so it can hardwall our Iron Hands. So Terra Ghost Raichu is a possibility. There's just better slots than it. And then Sableye actually does really, really good in this matchup. It can just Encore spam us Willow or Thunder Wave. It can have Foul Play. It can have Screens. There's a lot of things that Sableye does in this matchup that really hinder our team and hinder our progress that we're able to make. And we have to play around Sableye accordingly. If he doesn't bring it, I'd be honestly pretty surprised because I do think it does really well here. Alright, I know that was a jumbled mess. The 6 I think he's going to bring is some variant of Kyurem, Comfey, Jirachi, and Sableye with 2 other Pokemon, probably Ogerpon, Cinderace. We could be looking at Ogerpon, Donphan. We could be looking at Cinderace, Donphan, less likely. It's probably Ogerpon 5th and then one of Donphan, Cinderace. Alright, our team. I'll just lay it all out. There's a lot of different things that we did here. First of all, Deoxys. This is an amazing, amazing Deoxys matchup because Sableye doesn't really... it does threaten me, but it's not the strongest resist to Deoxys in the world, and we do have ways around it. There was a set that I really liked that I brought for a while that we're not bringing. That was lead Meteor Beam 4 attacks, and it destroyed in every single game. We found another set that we also really like that we're bringing. There's also setup variants of Deoxys that do really well here with Nasty Plot and Calm Mind. The combination of Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, and Psychic really just destroy his team. There's not a whole lot that he can do about it. And his speed tier is obviously very, very good. I believe Timid Deoxys is able to outspeed the Scarf Jirachi. I don't think it's able to outspeed the Scarf Ogerpon or Trailblaze Ogerpon. I could be wrong on that though. Next up, Enamorous. There were a lot of really cool Enamorous sets here that did really well. Enamorous is broken, man. I've decided I don't love our team. By the way, there's people who are hating on the team too. I know it's not very good. There's people in my comments who are like, by the way, your team's not very good, like trying to hurt me in some way. I know it's not my favorite team I've ever had. There's gonna be changes soon, man. Calm down. We got it. Enamorous though is not gonna change. I love this Pokemon. She is very good. Mrs. Zaba is broken. There's a lot of really cool sets here. Contrary Superpower was a real possibility here because of a majority of his team being physical. The only issue is that with that, if I could speak, is that Kyurem. The Kyurem being Scarf, what we think is likely going to be Scarf, pose a big threat to a setup version of our Enamorous in the builder. So ultimately we didn't end up going with that, but Contrary was in there for a long time. As far as Terra types go, Stellar was the main one that we thought about, but I also thought about Ghost and Dragon. Dragon was more so if we could contain Comfey. Dragon to be able to resist the dual stab from the Ogerpon was a really cool idea that I liked a lot, and then Ghost to resist dual stab from the Okidogi, as well as the potential superpower from the Ogerpon was also an idea, and also to have Terra Blast to super effectively hit the Jirachi. Ultimately though, we ended up, spoiler alert, going Stellar, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but those were the three types that were considered here. Dragon was kind of like a fever dream, man. I probably shouldn't have tested Dragon, to be honest. Arcaladon is the Ogerpon Wellspring check. It actually checks it pretty well. It takes hits super easily. His team is entirely physical. Arcaladon has a fantastic matchup. There were so many different Arcaladon thrown around between an Iron Defense Arcaladon, a Specs Arcaladon. There was what was it, a Metal Sound Arcaladon? It was kind of dumb, but there were a bunch of different sets thrown around. Arcaladon overall has a huge place on whatever team we build in this matchup. And then lastly, as far as Pokemon that I think should always come on our end in this matchup, it's going to be Uncle Mike the Iron Hands. In my opinion, he's pretty much locked to be AV here. We don't really have an answer to cure him at all on the team. It really is just Iron Hands, and hope that we're able to live hits, and hope that he's not Specs. Hope he's Scarf instead of Specs. If he's Specs, we can't take 2 Dracos, I don't think, unless it's after a Drain Punch recovery. So we don't really have a lot of leeway with our Kyurem checks, and it's just, he's very much so forced to be a Soul Vet. Swampert has a lot of use here. Rocks are awesome. Flip Turn is cool, but the thing is we do get stuffed really easily by the Ogerpon. However, we can Eevee to live a Trailblaze from the Ogerpon and not die to that, and instead die to Hornleech and Power Whip that he should not bring, right? Like, we agree. Look up and down my team. Cudgel, Superpower, Trailblaze, Swords Dance. If you're an offensive set, if you're a defensive set, Spikes, U-Turn, Cudgel, Superpower. You shouldn't have Power Whip. You shouldn't have Power Whip. So keep that in mind, I guess. We want rocks. Swampert's a good rocker if we don't bring it on our Arcaladon. Ogerpon is a really interesting one because I do actually think it has a lot of use here. Spikes plus knockoff plus U-turn, being able to resist the dual stabs on the Ogerpon and really stuff that Pokemon. We could be Synthesis, we could be like a Leech Seed set, Sub-Seed set. Like, there's actually a lot of use for Ogerpon here, and I really do enjoy its matchup overall in this matchup, obviously. Cyclizar, unfortunately, is awful here, which sucks because it is our only form of removal, and without it, we are going to play the game with a Spike up, with Rocks up, whatever the case may be. Somebody's going to be hindered in some way because we can't get a spin on the Sableye. And the thing I've noticed about our team is they can just Terra their dude into Ghost, and then we can't really do a whole lot. Like, obviously Ogerpon can't Terra Ghost, but if he's Terra Ghost Raichu, we still can't spin, man. So Cyclizar, primarily because of Sableye, gets really stuffed in this matchup. I don't think it's very good. Muck, however, was considered for a very long time because of how prominent Comfey is in the in-game. Really, it was going to be a Boots Muck with Pain Split. That was really the only Muck that was thought about. And then Dusknoir, Uncle Rick, he got some use in the mocks too. So pretty much every Pokemon except Cyclizar got some thought, some use. I mean, even Cyclizar got some use, but it didn't make any sense. Ultimately, all that is to say, all of our Pokemon made sense in this matchup, except realistically Cyclizar, in my opinion, and even then you could argue if he doesn't bring Sableye, it does have a place. All right, that's a lot of yapping, man. Thank you guys for watching this. Leave a like if you're enjoying, by the way. As far as our team goes, again, shout out to Wagon for building this, or changing some sets, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. Our first Pokemon, Deoxys. So this was initially the Meteor Beam set that was absolutely destroying, and Mox Wagon modified it a little bit because we talked about it, and Nasty Plot did look really good as well. It was just kind of hard to find an opportunity to plot, or so we thought, and then we did Mox, and it was actually way easier to find opportunities to plot than we initially thought. We're Lumberry to prevent the Thunder Wave from the Sableye, as well as there's something else. The Jirachi, the Thunder Wave from the Sableye and the Jirachi. Like I said, Psychic Shadow Ball Thunderbolt destroys literally everything on his team. You might notice we are max HP, max special attack, Timid. Timid gives us enough speed to outspeed a Scarf Modest Kyurem, and we can actually live the Scarf Timid Kyurem's Draco Meteor. So we just put the rest in HP. Max special attack, not a super in-depth EV spread, but this Pokemon we can keep in the back, we can revenge things, we can find opportunities to plot, and this could actually be a very good in-game option for us if we do find an avenue to get a plot out. Next up, this was pretty much the Enamorus that we had the whole time after the Contrary Enamorus failed. We are going to go ahead and be that Scarf Enamorus. Scarf Enamorus was something that Wagon said that he struggled a lot with when building Mox. So we are going to end up bringing that. We have Healing Wish to heal something up like the Arcaludon or the Uncle Mike, which could come in crucial late in the game. Terra Blast, Earth Power, Moon Blast. It's a very self-explanatory set. We have enough speed to outspeed the Kyurem, speed creeping our Arcaludon. We went max special attack modest to do the most damage possible. We were very aggressive with our creeps because we do believe that the Jirachi should be no speed or should not be enough speed to outspeed this. And then we went the rest into HP. And I'm going to be real with you guys. We might not Terra, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. Basically, the idea here is that this is able to revenge the Ogerpon if he does not have the Trailblaze up. This is able to revenge a Scarf Kyurem if he is not timid, which he shouldn't be. This creeps the creep of him creeping, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. So this keeps a lot of his threats at bay. The way we played it in Mox, it was hard to find avenues to get it in, but when it did get in, it did big damage. Next up, we've got our Arcaludon. We're just a Fizz-Def Arcaludon with enough special attack to 2-hit KO Sableye. We're obviously going to be Chople Berry here. There were a couple of other items that were considered, mainly Specs was the other one, but this set ended up doing wonders, obviously, because his team is primarily physical, as I talked about before. With Thunder Wave to spread something to like the Jirachi that should switch in on us pretty easily. Body Press plus Iron Defense is going to be very good of a combo to be able to throw off those body presses, especially if he does not bring the Sableye. And then we have enough special attack to 2-hit KO a non-Spadef Sableye with the Flash Cannon should he bring that. And I didn't talk about it earlier, but obviously recovers are also an option on the Sableye that we have been seeing. We're just max defense after the special attack and Flash Cannon. This guy's role is pretty simple. Come in, be a sponge, switching on things like the Sableye, like the Ogerpon specifically. Once the Ogerpon goes down, obviously this guy's role is a little bit less. Next up, we're Assault Vest Uncle Mike. I told you guys there wasn't really room for error here. We have to be Assault Vest to deal with the Kyurem. We're gonna be Volt Switch, Play Rough, Earthquake, and Ice Punch. Is that right? We're no Drain Punch. I haven't looked at this set. I guess we're no Drain Punch. So Volt Switch is for momentum. That's pretty obvious, pretty self-explanatory. I guess so the difference from when I last saw this was Ice Punch over Drain Punch. That makes sense, so we have a way to actually hit the Donphan. I guess there weren't really that many opportunities that I was able to Drain Punch in the Mox because of the Sableye, so that makes a lot of sense. Volt Switch, we can throw that off on the incoming Sableye. Whatever else. Play Rough is a good click into the Kyurem because this is our Kyurem switch in. If he goes into the Sableye on us, we're able to do massive damage to that Pokemon. I think KO after 2 rounds of rocks, if I recall correctly. Earthquake is obviously going to be for things like the Okidogi, and then Ice Punch is going to be there for the Donphan. And it looks like we're just max attack adamant with the rest in special defense. I'm fine with that, man. Uncle Mike is here to do one job, and that is to not let us lose to the Kyurem. Next up, we have our guaranteed lead, Swampert, and he is not going to bring Power Whip or, what's it called? Horn Leech, right, guys? So we're Custap, we're Rocks, we're Earthquake, Liquidation, and Poison Jab. So the whole idea with this is if he leads the Ogerpon, he should not have Power Whip or Horn Leech. We've talked about this. You guys are with me. You guys agreed with me. I saw you guys type out, yes, John, he should not have those moves. So, turn 1, we're going to Poison Jab that dude. If he doesn't Terra, we punish him, and we don't quite KO him, but we do massive damage. If he Swords Dances, or if he gets a Spike Up, we punish him. If he does Terra and he decides to go for the Ivy Cudgel, we're able to Poison Jab him and then pivot into Arcaludon the following turn. If he stays in and he Trailblazes, oh no, he can't kill us. So So we get in cut stab range and we're able to kill him the following turn. This Swamper is designed specifically to defeat an Ogerpon that does not have Power Whip or Horn Leech. Specifically, an Ogerpon that does not have Power Whip or Horn Leech. And the main gripe that I had with this team was that I think there's a possibility that he brings Power Whip and Horn Leech. So this Swampert could be useless off lead. But you know what? I trust Wagon, so we're gonna go with this. It's a pretty cool set. I think it's I actually have no idea what the spread is for, to be completely honest. I think it's enough attack to KO with Poison Jab into Earthquake if he is Terra, but I might be wrong. And then obviously, other than that, he is going to be used as a Cinderace check, and if we get led into something advantageous like the Cinderace, we are going to go ahead and get our rocks up turn 1. And then we have a little bit of speed for the Creeping Donphan. And then lastly, Uncle Rick, man. Oh, I'm excited for this one. This guy, he's funny, that's for sure. So our opponent does not have a Poltergeist resist. What is it? He had one. Our opponent has Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz should not come, so he really doesn't have a Poltergeist resist. So I don't even know how to explain the anomaly that is Uncle Rick. We're Air Balloon because Donphan was destroying us. Obro brought a Banded Donphan and Mox, and I sacked one every single time. That Mon, if he got the play right on Enamorus, we lost. Like, or Enamorus went down, we lost. It was brutal. So Air Balloon is to mitigate Donphan in some capacity. Poltergeist is to do damage to everything. It does huge damage. Hard Press is because we're Terra Steel. This is our Comfey answer in some capacity. Will-O-Wisp for things like the Jirachi if we don't have a Thunder Wave on it already with Arcaludon or whatever else might want to switch in, and then Pain Split to try to give Rick some longevity, man. We're going to be enough speed to outspeed the 8-speed Sableye, max attack, rest into HP, and we're Frisk to be able to find out the items of certain Pokemon. This guy actually, it looks so stupid, it sounds so stupid. He can switch into the Jirachi though, he can switch into the Donphan, he can switch into the Jirachi, he can switch into the Comfey, and he's probably going to be what we end up Terraing. We do kind of want to keep it in the back to Terra to not let the Kyurem lock into the Earth Power, kind of make him guess, okay, well, if I Ice Beam here and he doesn't Terra, we kill him, but if he Terras, then that does nothing. Like, you know the whole ordeal. So we probably are going to end up terraing Uncle Rick here, but we'll have to see how the game flow goes. It sounds so dumb. I know it sounds so dumb. It worked so flawlessly in Mox. I think this team went 3-0 in Mox. I think Wagon won 2, I won 1 trying out this team. So I don't know, man. And that is going to be the team. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to search for an in-game with that Deoxys. We're going to lead our Swampert. We are not going to get Horn Leech. We are not going to get Power Whipped. We're going to kill that Ogerpon, and we're going to punish him for getting a Spike Up or a Swords Dance off turn 1. And Uncle Rick is going to do his damnedest. We'll leave that. And Uncle Rick is going to do his best to at least get 1 kill, man, to not let us lose to the Comfey. Terra Steel Hard Press, I didn't talk about it. Terra Steel Hard Press is to punish a Comfey that is close to max HP. I think it KOs after rocks. So that is the team, guys. Thank you again to Wagon for building this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, listening to me ramble about this team, I'm a lot more confident this week. I think the rust isn't completely gone, but it is not going to be as bad as last week, which whatever. I'm trying to convince myself more than you. I don't think I played horrible, but obviously could have played better. Hoping to play the best that I can this week to the best of my abilities. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.